ses, Mia. Vi ses, mor.
Det er godt.
Hej.
Men husk at lukke den der på nu, ikke?
Det skal jeg nok.
Ja, det tager 2 timer.
Ja, så først om 2 timer.
Ja.
Ja. Mia spørger, hvilket er der? Ja. Mange gange. Jeg havde tænkt mig at stoppe kl. 11 i dag, ikke? Men ja, det blev lidt ødelagt. Nå, skate, fam, skate. Skate. Jeg kan lov, at jeg skal kunne underholde dig. Men jeg så godt, du havde det svært. Men sådan er det nogle gange. Det er fint nok. Jeg overlever. Så mødes i gang.
Danske sjov på bakken. Vi har lige nu. Vi har ikke dem. Der er noget om snakken. Danske sjov på bakken.
Det er fint nok, men bare lad det ligge.
Vi har ikke dem. Og vi skal have den igen i morgen, så lad os... Ja, med Patrick. Ja. Men den sagde først på Tips Plus. Skal vi gå på Underbro? Skal vi? Eller skal vi lige spille en kæreste? Nej, det slår du ikke. Der er din kæreste. Det slår du ikke. Hver gang vi er på bakken på Rivemok, så skal vi så prøve vi båden. Det er fedt. Ja. Kom, vi lader lige det første stykke. Så gør plads til mig på.
Godmorgen, Mia. Ja, godmorgen.
Så meget nøjer. Jeg fik det. Jeg skriver mig på langt i bakken. Det var ikke et skid overhovedet. Lige på et gamle hospital. Så vi venter på det årstur. Ja. Nu tror jeg, vi kører. Ja, 5 minutter måske. Ja, vi venter 5 minutter. Vinder? Ja, United spiller ikke Nottingham. Men vi skal... Men jeg har vundet noget. Og vundet top skildpadder. Det er lidt hæftigt. Ja. Nå, hvad så? Vi er på båden igen. River du ud af? Så skal vi op. Oh shit. Oh shit. Jeg er altså fast. Det gør jeg også. Det er ordentligt klat. Nej, det tager mig ikke. Jeg holder det. Jeg holder det. Jeg holder det. Åh ja. Ja, sådan der. Vi kører videre. Ja. Det er eneste, den er. Det er eneste, jeg ved, vi går i foden. Nå, det går du. Det går sgu meget godt. Det er roligt. Ja. Der er dage for i dag. Det er der bare. Men det er lidt lækker rivmokplak. Oh yeah. Det vil vi også bruge for. Det rivmok skal være varmt. Ja.
Det er vist snart Indre By.
Og nordsiden af Slagelse. Ja.
Det er vist snart Indre By og Slagelse.
Jamen, det er nordsiden af Slagelse. Ja, ja. Og nej, det er ikke en bule, det her for Ole. Forhåbentlig ikke. Nej, det der, det er bums. Det er bums, det er bums. Ah! Ah! Yeah! Du skal opad. Jeg rejser fast.
Ja. Enig. Og noget bro.
Så er vi på vej hjem. Og det var rive mig på bakken 2025. Yes, der følger jeg sådan med. Og hej.
Real Madrid faces the current European champions in the semi-final of the Club World Cup. The last time Real Madrid faced PSG, Benzema scored one of the most iconic hat-tricks in the Champions League, in a season where he won the Ballon d'Or. The winner of this tie is going to be the favorites to win the trophy. Since the appointment of Luis Enrique, PSG has improved significantly. Their passing and off-the-ball play is why they were able to beat Inter Milan in the Champions League final. They were able to suffocate Inter by not giving them outlets out of the back. Inter was not able to play their 1-2s because PSG's forwards were working intelligently and effectively off the ball. Since Xabi Alonso has arrived at Real Madrid, the overall patterns of play have improved significantly in such a short period of time. But there's no doubt that Luis Enrique's project is much further along than Xabi Alonso's. And in many ways, this is a litmus test to Xabi Alonso to see how far he's come as the manager of Real Madrid. Regardless if Xabi Alonso wins or not, he will not be judged negatively by being defeated by PSG in this match because, of course, Real Madrid wants to win the trophy. But again, Luis Enrique has had this side for much longer than Xabi Alonso has had his current side. But in any tournament, you can never rule out Real Madrid. So let's break down the ways Real Madrid and PSG could potentially exploit each other's weaknesses and take advantage of their own strengths. By the way, if you guys are new here, I'd really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Real Madrid will be without one of their key players who would have been instrumental in this match after picking up a red card against Dortmund. Dean Howson has been such an important player in progressing the ball forward. When teams look to press, he can play line-breaking passes out of the back. Many people online and social media across Instagram and other places have all been calling him the Toni Kroos of center-backs. Many could criticize his red card, but to be fair, in that situation, your instinct as the center-back is to take down the attacker. So you cannot really fault him too much for that red card. You can always say in retrospect he could have handled things a little differently, but that's all part of the game. These types of things happen. But now the question is, who comes in to replace him? The natural replacement is Raul Asensio slotting into the back, with Tchouaméni at times playing that hybrid role where he's often playing as a 6 sometimes, playing a little deeper to form a back 3 when in possession. But one thing we know about Xabi Alonso is he really likes his center backs to be very good on the ball. And that's why Tchouaméni has been such a key player for Xabi Alonso, is because he can play that hybrid role, drop into deeper zones, and progress the ball forward. So that raises the question, could we...
Og ved du hvad, Mia? Undskyld, jeg ikke... Ved du hvad, Mia? Ærligt, undskyld, jeg ikke var live i går, ikke? Hvis jeg skal være helt ærlig, ikke? Men det hedder, men så meget... Altså, jo, det var jeg, men kun én gang, ikke? Ved du, men undskyld, jeg ikke var live. Jeg ved ikke, at rumvægelsen var live, ikke? Men... Nogle gange, så bliver jeg nødt til at tænke på mig selv, ikke? Du ved, i hister her... Ja, men det hedder... Jeg havde heller ikke helt 100% lige lyst med det samme om morgenen. Ville lige have en ordentlig morgen, ikke? Men nu er jeg her. Nu er vi her for dig, så... Let's go.
You potentially see Tchouaméni replace Dean Howson in this situation, and then see a potential midfielder come in. A player who's been coming back from injury is Eduardo Camavinga, and he is one of the best players in Europe in terms of evading a press because he's so good at carrying the ball. That is one of the ways you can break a press from the opposition, and Camavinga is extremely good at that. But having featured no minutes so far, despite being in training with the team and looks like he's regained his fitness, I highly doubt that Camavinga is going to be a player who's going to start this match, although he would have been a great solution. given Xabi Alonso's reliance on Arda Güler and having him really play as the main ball progressor from deeper zones, that means it's unlikely that a player like Luka Modric, who lacks the physicality and is oftentimes played in the last 15-20 minutes of the match, he will likely not start. And that's why I believe Raul Asensio will be the player who comes in to replace Dean Howson in this situation. But in this tournament, we've seen that Xabi Alonso has tried different ways of building up play from the back. In some cases, it's played with 3 in the back. In Real Madrid's last match, we played with a 4 in the back. Oftentimes, Arda Güler would drop into deeper zones, forming a back 3, but he would occupy a position that usually Trent would occupy at a possession, as almost as a right back. And in possession, Tchouaméni would sometimes be higher up the pitch to be an option between the lines. Despite playing very few minutes, Kylian Mbappe scored an incredible goal off the bench. In a game like this, in big games, Kylian Mbappe, since arriving at Real Madrid, has been one of Real Madrid's best players in every single big game. He scored in every final that Real Madrid has been in. In terms of big game players, that is Kylian Mbappe. That is what he's built his reputation around. Not to mention the fact that he would be facing his old team. After the game, Xabi Alonso said that he was unclear about whether Kylian Mbappe was going to start. He just said that he was coming back from injury, he was still recovering. But given the form of Gonzalo Garcia, he's a player who has scored all of his goals in the box. He's played that 9 role for Real Madrid, whereas Kylian Mbappe's instinct is to hang at the top of the box. But if this turns into a game where PSG does to Real Madrid what they did to Arsenal, what they did to PSG, which is be very effective in the way they press the ball and keep the ball. If Real Madrid has less possession of the ball, that means they will have to be very deadly in transitions. And that's where a player like Kylian Mbappe comes in. He's a player that can have very few touches on the ball and still be deadly. And so that's why in a game like this, you need a guy like Kylian Mbappe because he could be the difference maker. His experience in big matches is truly on his day unstoppable. Under Xabi Alonso, we have yet to see Kylian Mbappe play with Vinicius up top together at the same time. And speaking of Vinicius, he started off the season on good form, but that form has been the last 2 games. And if Real Madrid wants to stand a chance like this, they need the best out of their best players. Because PSG's fullbacks, both Hakimi and Mendes, are 2 of the best fullbacks in Europe right now. And their contributions in the attacking third is what makes them such a deadly team to defend against. Because you look up and sometimes Hakimi's in the box. Mendes can sometimes carry the ball if you try to press him. And that's why I believe Valverde will oftentimes be playing high up the pitch to press PSG, oftentimes playing as a right winger. And Real Madrid will likely form a 3-4-3 out of possession with the intent of pressing high up the pitch. But if there's one thing that Real Madrid struggles with, it's whenever teams have those transition opportunities, that space between the right center back and Trent. Although Trent has been really good with his 1v1 defending overall in this tournament, Real Madrid still under Xabi Alonso likes to play with a higher line. And with the likes of Desiree Doué, and if Dembele starts, who he's still recovering from an injury, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Desiree Doué, these are all players with a lot of pace that can exploit you if you try to play a high line against them. And if there's one thing that we know about Xabi Alonso is he really likes a lot of versatility in the way his team plays, not only in terms of ball progression from the back, but also in terms of the pressing patterns. If any of you watched the game between PSG and Arsenal, the first game at the Emirates, Arsenal was pressing the ball high up the pitch, but PSG found a way to evade Arsenal's press. Despite Arsenal going 1v1, man for man with their pressing, PSG was always one step ahead, always moving the ball backwards, drawing Arsenal into their press before releasing some of their attacking players. And of course, Dembele scores that outrageous goal. And so for Real Madrid, if they plan on going 1v1, pressing high up the pitch against PSG, then it needs to be effective because you cannot exert that much energy against this PSG team and not win the ball back when you do it. And let's not forget, these are the 2 best goalkeepers in the world in Thibaut Courtois and Donnarumma. As much as we can talk about tactics, this game will be decided by the players not only taking their chances, but by both goalkeepers keeping those chances out of the goal. In our last match against Dortmund, Thibaut Courtois came up with an absolutely outrageous save. Something we saw him do in the Champions League final against Liverpool. And Donnarumma, again, the saves that he made against Arsenal in that second leg in Paris were again outrageous at the level of Thibaut Courtois in that game. We're talking about the 2 best goalkeepers in the world. So as much as Real Madrid can create chances, and same thing with PSG, if you don't take your chances, that's ultimately what's going to decide this tie. But again, we're talking about 2 goalkeepers that can stop the unstoppable. And that's why this game could be decided by what happens in both boxes. This game will come down to swings of momentum on both sides. When Real Madrid is on top, they need to take advantage of that momentum. And when Real Madrid is in their own half and PSG has control and they're creating more chances, they need to minimize PSG's effectiveness. But tactically, both teams are very versatile. Whether we see Desiree Doué play as a false nine or we see Dembele play as the false nine, the setup will be much different. We could see Xabi Alonso make adjustments throughout the match, trying to find solutions to evade PSG's press. Both sides have high quality players. On one hand, you have PSG with Vitinha, who has proven himself to be one of the best playmakers in Europe. Arda Güler had 2 assists in Real Madrid's last match against Dortmund. He's growing into his new role. He's proven himself to be one of the best players in that role in the world. But one of the most underrated matchups in this match are from the fullbacks. Fran Garcia had a man-of-the-match performance last time. Trent had an assist, his second assist at Real Madrid. But you cannot take anything away from PSG's fullbacks. We're talking about Hakimi and Mendes. Both guys are world-class. Ultimately, I don't think this changes much in terms of Xabi Alonso staying at Real Madrid, because what he's done with Real Madrid in such a short period of time has been nothing short of amazing. When I'm seeing Valverde is starting to score again, when I'm seeing the likes of Fran Garcia getting man-of-the-match performances, when under Carlo, he looked like a shadow of himself. He had absolutely no confidence. When I'm seeing Tchouaméni playing as one of the best sixes in the world, if not the best six in the world right now, when I see Arda Güler playing some of the best football he's ever played at Real Madrid, playing in a role where we all knew he could play, but he was never given that chance under Carlo. I just remember Xabi Alonso's first press conference where he said, I want Real Madrid fans to look at this club and say, this is my Real Madrid. And when I watch Real Madrid now, that's what I say. I say, this is my Real Madrid. This is the way Real Madrid should play. Real Madrid should be dominating sides in complete control, not suffering, not relying on players to exceed their XG and score unimaginable goals. And so I think Real Madrid will win this tie. I'm predicting a 3-2 scoreline for Real Madrid. Let me know if you guys agree with me. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but I just believe in Real Madrid and I believe in these players. And if Kylian Mbappe starts this game, I'm very confident he will get on the scoreboard. Thank you for watching, and Hala Madrid.
Jeg prøver i hvert fald at få det lidt bedre. Jeg har fået det meget bedre siden i går. Det er det vigtigste, tænker jeg i hvert fald. Så tager den fra.
For the first time in 25 years, Real Madrid are using a back three, and under Xabi Alonso, it might just change everything. It may seem like a pretty small tactical tweak, but this simple change could completely redefine Real Madrid's identity, and it might be the perfect system to exploit the full potential of this squad. Let's take a look. Welcome back to Football Meta. Xabi Alonso's time at Bayer Leverkusen was nothing short of spectacular, and he achieved great results thanks mostly to his clear principle. In fact, at the core of Xabi Alonso's style, we can find 3 overarching ideas. A clear positional structure when the team is starting their attacks. The freedom for these players to move away from these areas and be more creative. And a relentless defensive game aimed at giving the opponent no time on the ball. And it's safe to say we're already getting a good glimpse of what this is going to look like at Real Madrid. And some of the challenges that he might be facing along the way. So let's start with principle number 1, the positional structure and how all attacks flourish from the same overarching idea. Alonso stated in an interview that he wants Real Madrid to be fluid and not be reliant on only one system. However, the 3-4-3 formation has been used in their previous 2 games and does seem to be the main base from which he's building his tactics. It's a system that has been quite popular in recent years and essentially gives teams great options to stretch the pitch as much as possible and circulate the ball, but also gives the team a lot of space in the centre for more dynamic rotations to take place. Something that is already proving to be extremely beneficial for Real Madrid, given the types of profiles they have in midfield. From an active build-up position at the base of this system is the back three of Rudiger, new signing Huijsen, and the interesting choice of Tchouaméni as the centre-back. And these three profiles give Alonso a lot of options to progress the ball. Firstly, Tchouaméni has been acting as the tempo giver for the team, and giving the backline balance in possession, and is completing the most amount of passes in the team, giving everyone time to reset and move into position. One big advantage of the 3-4-3 is the use of wide centre-backs, and how they can often find space to push forward on the flanks. Huijsen has so far looked fantastic on the left, and his line-breaking passes are proving to be one of the most useful progression tactics. One avenue we've already seen a lot is these direct balls over the defence for Vini Jr. or the wingback Fran Garcia to run onto. Similarly, on the right, we all know how Rudiger loves to carry the ball forward, and in this system he has the space to do this more often. But there's also another few advantages of having Rudiger in this position. Firstly, he can provide more defensive cover for Trent Alexander-Arnold, allowing him to push further up the pitch. But Rudiger can also be used during the gegenpress, and we've already seen him push much further up the pitch to stop the opponent from breaking away. In midfield, the rotations start to get even more dynamic, and is where principle 2 of fluid rotations and positional freedom becomes more evident. While it is a 3-4-3 on paper, it more often resembles a 3-4-1-2 or even a 3-2-1-4 further up the pitch. Bellingham has the freedom to rotate between the lines, and this can create big overloads when you least expect it. For example, as play moves over to the left, with Fran Garcia moving up and Vini Jr. in the half space, the addition of Bellingham and even Gula or Valverde pushing forward can create a lot of dynamic rotations. Take for example in this clip here, how Bellingham drops deep to form the midfield, so Valverde takes the responsibility of giving the team an option further up the pitch. Or in this clip with Valverde spotting the space and breaking forward himself to take the shot. Or even in this example here, and the ease with which they're able to create an overload on the left flank, with 4 or 5 players able to get consistently into this position. Also, once the team has created this overload, it does mean the defense will shift over. And if they're able to move the ball quickly out to Trent on the right flank, then his crossing accuracy is certainly going to be extremely useful this season, as we saw with the assist for the goal that got them through to the quarter-finals. But I'm not sure if this is the position Trent was hoping to be playing when he joined Real Madrid, and if you want to know more about some of the difficulties I think Alonso might face this season, then you can find out more in this week's bonus video on YouTube and on Patreon. You can get started with the link down below. So, the back three and the midfield are at the base of all the rotations, but there's also a lot of interesting changes to the front line, specifically to the role of Vini Jr. and how Mbappe might fit into this system as well, if you can get a place ahead of the impressive-looking Gonzalo Garcia. The first major difference is how much more centrally Vini Jr. is being used. While he technically starts as the left winger, he will often move into the half space. Imagine him being at the tip of this diamond that can be created on the left flank. This allows him to either cut in behind and instantly be closer to goal, or link up play and dribble inside more frequently, something we saw a lot against Juventus. But again, as with most of the players in this team, he's not fixed to this position, and if there's no space to turn once he receives the ball, then he will often rotate out wide, changing position with the wingback Fran Garcia. Because of Vini's positioning and the danger he can bring to this team, it does often mean Real Madrid are quite lopsided to the left flank. In the final third, they're finding a lot of success with different options, either tight combinations in this position, a surprising amount of long-range efforts, or a switch in play to exploit the vacant space on the right flank. Finally, in terms of attacking tactics and rotations, the Club World Cup showed us the great young talent that is Gonzalo Garcia, picking up some important goals and always being ready in the box. But chances are that Mbappe will be the main focal point in attack for Xabi Alonso, and in their last 16 win against Juventus, we got a glimpse of how he might be used alongside Vini Jr. Both players naturally want to float around the left inside channel, and this was instantly visible as soon as Mbappe made his way onto the pitch, often drifting out wide or vacating the centre of the pitch entirely, in stark contrast to how we saw Real Madrid play with Garcia up top. But it does look as if his more central position will force Vini out wide more often, as we saw him hugging the touchline more frequently with Mbappe on the pitch. But this focus on the left flank could potentially be beneficial, as it allows more of the midfielders to rotate forward and join the attack. Something, for example, we can see in this quick counterattack, with Mbappe overlapping on the left and Valverde and Gula making their way through the middle to give the team options in the centre. Or alternatively, another solution could be Trent Alexander-Arnold pushing even further up the pitch, while Fran Garcia is used in a slightly more defensive position as there's less space for him to push forward. But there's always a lot of contrasting opinions on how Vinny and Mbappe should play together, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. So these attacking rotations up top have the potential of being extremely dangerous this season for Real Madrid. But what about their defensive shape under Xabi Alonso? Because as we saw at the start of the video, the high press is a core component of his principles. And some of Real Madrid's best players have a reputation of being a little bit lazy when out of possession. When defending, Real Madrid are shifting between a 5-3-2 or 5-2-3 defensive shape. When pressing high up the pitch, they're not going with an aggressive man-oriented system, but are more often trying to force play out wide where they can then trap the opponent. And generally speaking, from a position like this, they have defended pretty well, often forcing long balls or regaining possession on the flank. Even when dropping into a deeper position, if able to protect the centre, then this shape has worked extremely well. But there have been some tricky moments when both Juventus and Salzburg were able to break through the centre of the pitch. Specifically, Gula and Valverde have on occasion been caught out in this position. And Tchouaméni is also at times late to step off the defensive line and close down any player with their back to goal, which has led to a few occasions for the opponent. For example, in this clip we can see how Gula is actively asking Tchouaméni to step forward, but is a bit slow to do so, meaning Juventus were nearly able to break through. Or again in this clip here as he doesn't win the first duel, and steps off the striker and allows them to turn rather than stepping forward to ensure there's no easy way for Juventus to expose their back line. Nonetheless, by keeping this compact defensive shape when out of possession, counterattacks are proving to be an extremely lethal weapon for Real Madrid. So even if the front two are not extremely active defensively, their ability to quickly turn defense into attack could be a lifesaver for them this season. These positions when Real Madrid are in possession make a lot of sense and have already proven to be extremely dangerous with these rotations in midfield. However, my personal main concern comes down to the defensive positioning of these three players in the centre, specifically Gula, Valverde and Tchouaméni. Because like we mentioned, they may be excellent in possession, but I do feel like they may leave the backline a little bit exposed in tricky situations. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to know more about these weaknesses, then we talk about it in this week's bonus video on YouTube and Patreon. The past couple weeks, I've been in London working with DAZN in occasion for the Club World Cup. I was a guest on the daily highlight show called The Press, hosted by the brilliant James Alcott. It was genuinely an incredible experience, and I never thought I'd be talking about tactics on live TV, even though it was at 4:30 in the morning. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for making an experience like this possible, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to James Alcott's channel here on YouTube, as he also does some brilliant tactical breakdowns. Thanks again, and I really hope you enjoyed this video.